Me is a book that is really about community, inclusion, and understanding and being happy with exactly who you are. It's something that I wrote for my son, Jameson. He is now 4 years old, and Jameson has Down syndrome. And we actually found out that Jay would have Down syndrome during a 20-week ultrasound. So we had a prenatal diagnosis. And at the time, I just was full of all different kinds of emotions. I didn't really know what to think. I didn't really know what the Down syndrome community was all about. And then Jay was born, and it was just like a moment of pure love and joy and like this is what it is, right? Just love, straight love. And so a couple months after Jay was born, the idea for I Am Me, just came to me, and I started writing things down on scrap paper, and I finally got a little piece together, and I shared it with some friends and family, and was encouraged to take it somewhere beyond just my own home, and turned into what it is today, which is a wonderful children's book, illustrated, that really just shows the love that I have for Jay and the love that I have for community, and recognizing the ableness and ability in all people. The title for I Am Me is part of a mantra that's reiterated throughout the book. So on each page and each stanza, there's an ending sentence that is, I am me, and that is all I need to be. And at the very end of the book, it says, you are you and I am me, just exactly how life is meant to be. So that's what I wanted. I wanted it to be a purposeful kind of self-efficacy, confidence building book for the child that's reading it, and also for parents and new parents, maybe with a Down syndrome diagnosis or another sort of diagnosis, to recognize that I am me and your child is who they are, and that's great and meant to be. The biggest thing that I want people to know about Down syndrome, and especially young people with Down syndrome, or maybe someone that's just got a Down syndrome diagnosis for a new baby or a baby on the way, is that they're whole and complete and perfect just the way they are, right? I mean, I think there's a lot of things in society that make us think that there's something quote unquote wrong, or there's an issue when there's something like a diagnosis for a child. And this is about changing that perspective and changing the dialogue, and recognizing that differences make the world what it is. And that's what makes a community, is that we come together with different ideas and different experiences and different perspectives, and that enhances who we all are. And so I think with Down syndrome, and to clarify, that's a chromosomal difference. So a person who has Down syndrome has an extra 21st chromosome, so 321. They have 3 instead of 2. Like you or I would have 46 total in each cell, and a person with Down syndrome has 47. But really, it's in some ways a different learning cadence, right? I mean, I think people who have Down syndrome, like my son Jameson, he really struggled as a baby to hold his head up because he had a lower muscle tone. So there are just some things like that that I think we often look at and think is simple or easy for a young child to learn and navigate. But when you have a diagnosis like Down syndrome, it does impact physical and some mental capabilities in a way that we need to be more supportive and provide opportunities and resources to help a young child or individual with Down syndrome kind of navigate day-to-day life and get to a point where they feel good and successful and happy in what they're doing. What is it like being Jay's mom? It's more than I thought it would be. Like I said, when we had our diagnosis, I struggled a little bit, and I think a lot of parents do. Again, because I didn't really know what it meant. I didn't grow up knowing anyone in my community who had Down syndrome. It was something that we weren't a part of until we were a part of it, right? And so being his mom has been something that has made me kind of slow down and take things day by day and really celebrate the little things, the little wins. for Jameson, again, sometimes things are a little bit more difficult for him to learn or to master. And so even just for him to take his first steps was more around 2 years old. And that is just like, that's a huge win. And now he's running around. We went trick-or-treating on Halloween, which we've never done before. And he was able to walk around the neighborhood and, you know, all of those things. So I think it's just a joy in recognizing that this human being that we created is thriving and doing so well and so full of love, and just makes me feel, you know, happy every day, because he is just a joy. I got started as an author because I really enjoy writing. I always have. At a young age, I'd put stories together and share them with my mom and grandma and all that sort of thing. And I always tried to illustrate as well, but that's definitely not a strong suit of mine. The writing part, I think, comes a little bit more naturally. And in my day job and my day work, I'm also a writer, a content writer. So I think I just have always enjoyed the written word and putting ideas down on paper. I also love to read, and it felt like a seamless fit to put something together for Jay, because again, it just that inspiration for him being there and for me being his mom and wanting to show how much I love him, right? That's where I Am Me came from. And I think a lot of times in the words and things that we write about as authors, they come from a place deep within our hearts, whether we're, you know, talking out of experience or creating something completely new. It means something to us. And in a lot of ways, we connect in places that we never thought we would when other people read the words too. Reading in general to any kid is super important. And I think, you know, for kids like Jay who have Down syndrome, reading to and with helps to build communication skills. A lot of times, especially in illustrated children's books, right, we see images that show action, that show feelings and emotions, images that show different characters and different things, places, people. And so even as we're reading a story together, especially Jay and I, he'll point at the littlest things, you know, what's this? What's that? What's this? And we have conversations about just the little teeny tiny things in the story. And so that helps to build like the creation of his understanding of the world around him. Because maybe we wouldn't have talked about a butterfly if he hadn't noticed what's this on the page. And then we said, oh, that's a butterfly. What's a butterfly? It comes from a caterpillar. What's a caterpillar? You know, all of those things. So I think, you know, for Jay especially, and I can't speak for everyone, you know, who's a parent of a child with Down syndrome, but I think for Jay, books have been a way that he has really been able to enhance his communication, not only verbally, but also his receptive communication and kind of understanding what situations are and understanding what people are saying, what they mean by what they're saying. And then him being able to, you know, turn around and give back and share what he's feeling and thinking and wanting or needing. My writing process for IME started with just putting ideas, you know, scraps of paper randomly, little notepads like this, you know, trying to get some rhymes together, thinking like, oh, this is true. Oh, this is true. And again, the first bit of it really flowed, you know, simply, I was just looking at Jay and I was thinking one night and I was like, I mean, that's all I need to be. And then it just like happened. So, you know, from there was a process of kind of editing and re-editing and, you know, re-swizzing things a little bit. I connected with a colleague of mine who used to work in book publishing, and she did some reading and provided some edit suggestions. And then I did work with another writer a little bit who helped fine tune a couple of the stanzas and worked through a little bit of the rhyme and rhythm with me, which I, you know, hadn't really done a lot before I Am Me. And so, you know, really fine tuned it from there. And then I did work with a third party publishing companies to be able to self-publish. So they didn't do any of the editing work, but they did help with placing illustrations. So not only, you know, did I organize the writing, but I found an illustrator, and then I worked with a third party company to kind of put it all together and package it into what it is today. Ideally, yes. I have some ideas. I think especially this year, Jameson has started preschool, and I've just noticed a few things that have been interesting and enlightening in his experience within the program and being around new kids, as he calls them. All the kids go to school and he gets to see kids. And so I think there's an opportunity there to create another work that I think would be good for young people kind of entering school, being around a child of a differing ability and what that means or could mean. I also have other ideas for writing longer stories, short stories, and maybe even a novel someday. So when time and life slows down, like that's ever going to happen, try to make time around my day job and parenting and all that is hard. But someday I'd like to just be able to write for me. We are in Michigan over here. The first would definitely be introverted. I am quiet. I like to sit back and observe. In some ways, I think that's what makes me a decent writer, because I like to be in my head and in thoughts more than out there necessarily. Another word I would use to describe myself is caring. I really, as a parent of a child with a differing ability, I think I have become a person who is more caring and empathetic and understanding for those in different positions, in different places, and different experiences, and more open to just listening and awareness and appreciating all of that. And the third word I would use to describe myself would be adventurous. I mean, I think in some ways, I like to try new things and, get outside and explore. And it's kind of counter to my thing about being an introvert in some ways, but I explore solo a lot of the time. So, or just, with close friends and family, that sort of thing. But I think, I do like to have experiences kind of outside of myself again, because I think that's important to see the world and understand other perspectives and jump in with both feet and see what happens. My favorite food is really more of a type of food. I'm a huge fan of anything sweet. So desserts and me are love. So any kind of cookie for the most part. Really mint chocolate chip ice cream is my go-to really any time of the day. Not writing, I really like to just be outside. I like to go for walks or go hiking, go biking. Where we live, we're close to Lake Michigan. So in the summertime, we like to, get out there and do the beach thing and walk around and sit and people watch. And if I'm not writing and I have time, that's what I like to do, is just be outside, be active. I really read, across the gamut. And I know in the first couple of chapters if I'm going to be into a book or not. And sometimes if I'm not into that read, then I set it aside and pick up a new book. And then a couple books later, I can pick up the one that I wasn't into, and somehow magically it fits and I'm able to get through it, and it makes, fits and makes better sense. There aren't a lot of books that I don't enjoy. But I think you can learn a lot from books. And I think that's really important. Again, experiences, right? Real life experiences and then book experiences, because someone had that thought, right? And put it down on paper. It came from somewhere. People read I Am Me. I want them to feel a sense of love and comfort in who they are, a parent and who they are, but also in their children. And I want kids who read I Am Me to feel a sense of self-confidence and self-efficacy, that, they are exactly as they need to be, and that in this world, things are going to come at them, and there's going to be differing opinions, and they're going to be told that they should be one way and maybe they should be this way and they should do this. And whatever they decide and whatever they choose can be good and great, and, just as they are. So I think that's what I really want people to take away from I Am Me. to connect with me online, I do have a website. It's KatelynShay.net, where I blog, randomly, sporadically, again, when time allows, about different experiences that we've had with Jay. One being a time he locks me out of the house. So that's a pretty fun story. I also share like our diagnosis story and that sort of thing on there.